Well, good evening, friends. Welcome again to actually session three of our lesson. It's incredible how fast time is flying, and we're quickly closing in on November. This year is really spent. I'm glad that you could make it, and of course, I'm going to jump right in and begin to talk about a few protocols, things you need to know so we can get to the meat of the discussion, which I think may be one of the most important two nemesis that we're going to talk about. Okay. But anyway, again, welcome. I again, our purpose is this, and let me just kind of restate it this way. With all the battles that we fight, and the struggles that we ensue on a human level with all of the obstacles and challenges, it is not the things that appear on the horizon or that other people do that can really derail our purpose in our life. It is really those things that arise within us. And if we understand that and we manage that, we can weather any obstacle, any challenge, any enemy. We can overcome that actually. So this is to encourage you in these seven nemesis that we're going to talk about, not to give you more philosophy or to make you smarter, but to give you some tactical keys in how to mitigate those things that can arise from within and keep you from accomplishing what you need to accomplish. Okay, let me just say that the program is recorded. So if you happen to come in or you come in late or you miss a show, it's on my YouTube channel, on my home Facebook page, and on my Roger C. Kelly author page. They'll be there for you to go back and review. And I'm going to keep them posted for quite a while. In fact, I highly recommend that you go back and review the first two lessons because they are keys. And I think that's very, very important. Okay. Please send in any questions that you may have. If I can't get to you tonight, and I probably won't because we just have so much information, I'm going to go back and check the reposts of the broadcast. I'll respond to any message or questions or comments that come in, each one of them, I promise you. Okay. Um, we have scheduled a panel for the fourth Thursday. I've got a panel of some comrades that we can have a discussion. However, I'm kind of basing that on the questions I get. If I don't get any questions, then we won't do the panel. We'll just go right on through the lesson. And then when we get questions or issues that I believe that you want me to clear up, then we'll come on and take time to answer that. It's really important. Your dialogue and what you're thinking is really, really important. Okay. Now, the downloads for message session one, session two, session three, when I say downloads, I'm referring to the notes that I'm using. They're already loaded on the website. If you'll go to rogerckelly.com, www.rogerckelly.group.com, and go to the page that says the seven pillars information page or the seven nemesis information page, you'll be able to download it to your cell phone. And that way you don't have to worry about trying to what I'm saying, trying to take all of the notes. You can just highlight what's really important to you. The other thing I need to say at this point is that this is taken from the study of my new manual, The 8 Pillars of Lifetime Sanity. When I wrote this book, I had no idea where we would be. Just on the news tonight, they're talking about mental illnesses that are affecting children at an unprecedented rate because of what they're having to face. One of the college campuses shut down classes because of suicides to bring in counselors and just try to say, hey, everything's going to be okay. This book was written to help you be well grounded and well balanced. And so, what I'm teaching, if you want to know more, you want the details of what I'm talking about, I'll bring it up on the screen a little bit later on. You can actually download the book on the same website in the store. Okay, 8 Pillars of Lifetime Sanity. Our topics that we're covering, let me just run down them real quick. We covered the solutions key on the outset, which is important because I gave you our methodology for overcoming these nemesis on the first night. And if I would recommend you go back, listen to it again, because you're going to take those principles and apply them to everything else we're going to talk about. We then covered fear. Tonight, we're going to deal with pride. We're going to talk about craving, worry, anger, hatred, and resentment. By the time we're done, you're going to have turkey and dressing. It's going to be close to Thanksgiving. So that's really where we are. So having said that, let's jump right into the study tonight. And let's see. I'm just going to send out general greetings. That didn't come out right. It's hard for me to do two things at once. Sorry about that. All right, there we go. Okay, I've put that up. Most of you should be able to see that. So tonight, let's go in and let's talk about pride. Now, I want you to listen to me carefully tonight because I believe that pride is one of those things that derail us the most and really does it in a stealth way. Really does it in a stealth way. Now, most people would say, okay, I know what pride is. Pride is the lack of humility. That's true, but it's much more than that, as I hope you're going to realize tonight. I'm going to make a statement, and you have it on your notes. You can just kind of follow along, and then I will explain it at the end of the lesson because it should be clear on what I mean by this. If you get this, you understand the thrust of what I'm saying. Pride is the impostor that pervades your authentic identity and derails your whole life. Pride is the impostor that invades your authentic identity and derails your whole life. And I put a little note, you don't have this in parentheses, that says pride turns you into the imposter in your own life. Pride will make you an imposter in your own life as you exhibit a fake self. Okay, we're going to come back to that. I have some dictionary terms here, and I'm not going to go through all of them, but let me say that pride is not a negative word in and of itself. It can mean good things, you know. You take pride in your life, you take pride in your appearance. Um, you comb your hair, you brush your teeth, you bathe, you work, you do things. That is good. That's good motivation. That's not the nemesis that I'm speaking of tonight. There's also a definition of pride that can mean revere or really respect. Um, um, and and dignity in that sense. And so I'm not really talking about that. You can see all of the definitions. But number three here on the paper, on the dictionary definition, says a high or inordinate opinion of one's own dignity, importance, merit, or superiority, conceit, or arrogance. So pride in one sense is a haughtiness and an arrogance and maybe an inflation of of who you think that you are, okay? Especially in comparison to others. However, I'm going to give you my definition because I don't think that definition scratched the surface on the points that I really want to make to you tonight. So I'm going to give you Roger's definition. Again, I'm going to my notes and let me bring up a banner real quick with the website that you can go to if you haven't downloaded them. Go here, go to the 7 Nemesis information page, and you can download the lessons. I'm going to leave them all up for quite a while, okay? It's complimentary. Here's Roger's definition. It is a mental construct of your personal identity, often based on external factors, especially comparing yourself to others and the external circumstances of life. Okay, so pride is a mental construct, it is a picture in your head of who you are, it is an assumption of who you are that's not necessarily based in reality. See, that's where the trouble begins. It's not just a matter of being overinflated, but it's a mental construct of your identity, and it's often based on external factors, and then how you fare up next to somebody else, which is totally irrelevant to anything in your life. Okay, and often to the external circumstances. Now, go a little bit further. It also includes the projection of performance and abilities in establishing your personal worth. The projection of performance and abilities in establishing your value, both real and imagined. Okay. In other words, it might be um, performance thing. It might be performance that you actually do. So you tie your value to how good you did or how good you are. Or it might be you just think you that good and you're not. And people do have that problem, both real and imagined. So we're getting to the root now of what this means. This personal concept of self is grossly inadequate. Underline that. It is grossly inadequate, whether deflated or inflated. See, it's not just the person who walks around with their chest out like they're better than everybody else that exhibits pride. Sometimes it's the person who's threatening suicide. That's pride. Or it's a person who views themselves as less than. That's a form of pride. It's a deflated form, but nevertheless, it's a form. Okay? So, friends, what I'm saying tonight is that you are a being beyond concept. Your life is a miracle. I don't know what you believe, whether you believe in miracles, but your life is a miracle that you were selected in the matching of the egg and sperm and survived, and you were born. And you carry in your DNA uh, the strands of life from all of your ancestors, your grandmother, your grandfather, your mother, your father, your great grandparents, your great great grandparents, your great great great. the gifts, the abilities that they had has come down through life, passed down through generations, and it resides within you. You are unique, just like your fingerprints. There's nobody in the world just like you. You can search the world over with your, now there may be people similar, but there's not another you. When the world loses you, you are designer's original. There'll never be another you. Whatever you do with this life, whatever you do with this shot you take, there will never be anybody else that can do it again. So don't blow it, friends. You are designer's original. Your brain, the way you think, your emotional makeup, your experiences, your all of the things that you've learned, and all combine to who you are today, and you don't even know what's going to arise because of situations that may come out. So what I'm saying to you is that it is not simple just to come up with you are more than a concept. Whatever concept you can think that you are, you're wrong. Okay? Because you are a being beyond concept. And that's our huge mistake. We're busy with other things. And so what we do is so we don't become authentic in who we are. Okay, I think I want to put up now tonight's lesson so everybody can see where we are. So we're talking about pride. If you have a comment or a question, please put that in the inbox. You can email me. I got a blog on the website. There's several ways to reach me. But if you've got questions or you've got concerns or whatever, I want to know, because while I'm doing this series, I can respond and clear it up. And I will do that, I promise. And chances are you wouldn't be the only one who will have had a question. Okay. So, first of all, what we've been doing, if you follow the notes, we've defined the nemesis. And then we talk about the prognosis. You go to your physician, what they do is tell you, if you keep going like you're going, here's what's going to happen, and here's what you can expect. Well, here's a whole prognosis of pride. That's what this little area is for in your notes, to let you know that if you ignore it, this is a possible path that you can wind up on. Okay, so first of all, pride begins with ignorance. It begins with ignorance. And this includes not knowing and not willing to know, because some people don't want to know. They kind of refuse. So it become it if you had an awareness of who you really were, pride would not be an issue, because you wouldn't have to pretend, or you wouldn't have to put somebody down to make yourself feel good. It'd be unnecessary. You wouldn't be trying to compare yourself, or you wouldn't be getting your value on how your day went and how good you did and how many people gave you accolade. You would be totally unimpacted by that, because it won't matter, because you are aware of who you are, and it's got nothing to do with that. You are a human being, not a human doing. Okay. And so you do what you do because you are a being, not performing in order to be. You perform because you are. Okay. That if that don't confuse you, we'll go on. All right. So we have first ignorance, and then we get pride. And pride is your conceptual identity. It's like, I'm better than this person, or I can do this, or nobody can do this like me. It is a conceptual identity, but the reason you have to guess and put a concept in your head is because you are unaware of how fearfully and wonderfully you have been made. A designer's original. By the way, your concept of who you are it is never going to be enough. So many people base their value on how they look. And so people stay in front of the mirror, and getting old is every birthday that comes rather than giving thanks. They dread it because something's going to change. You better believe it is. But if your hair and your body and your eyes are what makes you who you are, you really need some help anyway. Okay? Because your identity goes far beyond what this shell of a body is going to do or can even represent. So ignorance brings pride. Let me say it another way. If you want to give me a counterfeit quarter, the only way you can pull that over on me is if I don't know what a real quarter looks like. Uh, and so you can pull the wool over me. If I know the real thing, the counterfeit doesn't stand a chance. That's a very basic, simple example. And so when you come into the awareness of who you are, you don't need the props, you don't need all those other things. But nevertheless, I'm getting to my solution. Ignorance brings pride, if you follow my train of thought. Now, what I'm saying is generally true. I'm not saying a step or something else can't be introduced, but I'm giving you how this thing tends to happen and how it tends to flow. From pride, then you can begin to get into narcissism, and then that is delusion and obsession with yourself. And you may know people like that. You may be like that. So sometimes we can be like that at times. We can be pretty selfish and self-centered. But what happens is pride unchecked, because it's never enough. So you have to go in and try to inflate yourself and tell yourself more things. And it's not a good deal. Not a good deal at all. Okay. And so delusion and obsession with self. One of the things that we learn in growing up is that the world don't evolve around us. When we're younger, my toy, my this, my world, I'll take my ball and go home. Some people never grow out of that. I had four other siblings, so I had to learn to share, and I had to learn I couldn't get my way all the time. Sometimes I felt like I didn't get my way none of the time. But I learned that, it wasn't just about me. Narcissism, it can be one. Okay. And sometimes a narcissist is one of the most broken people, fragile ever, but they put on the front. But that's where ignorance, pride, then narcissism can take you. Then you get into divergence or deviation. Let me say this. And so, what I mean by that is you begin to live a life that's off course and out of rhythm. I do a little bit of music, and so there's a rhythm when you're playing with other musicians, the drum and the guitar, and we call it being in the pocket. We're in rhythm. Everybody's feeling it. The singers, they're feeling it. When somebody's out of rhythm, it just it just messes things up. You're out of the flow. So there is a rhythm in your life. There's a rhythm for every season. There's a rhythm for your work, a rhythm for your rest, a rhythm for everything. When you get into divergence, when you get into narcissism, deviation, it just takes you off course. So you spend your life. It's like this. Let me say it this way. It's like spending your life on a lie, because your life is based on an assumption that's basically not true. The last thing in terms of the prognosis, you go from ignorance to pride to narcissism, deviation or divergence, and then you get extraneous outcomes. What do I mean by that? You miss the point of your whole life. I believe that we are designed and we come here with purpose for a reason. We come with a set of gifts, skills, a dream. We come with that. Um, I've had to accompany many people who have passed away, or I got calls to come in when people on their deathbed. They never ask me whether their car is shiny or what I think about the money in the bank. They don't worry about that. That is not even a question. What's important to them was that their life counted and their life mattered. For you to spend your life and the work and to do and go through all the changes and only to discover your life is pointless, that's a sad thing, but that's usually what happens if you just live a life of pride. You wind up on the wrong side of history. You wind up not getting things done that really you should have done, and the things that make your heart sing so that you are fulfilled. That's what life is all about. It's knowing that we have made a difference and we've made a mark. So now let's get into some answers. Okay. We've talked about the definition, we talked about the prognosis. Let's get into some answers. The first thing I need to say here is that I'm going to take you back to present moment awareness, but I have present moment awareness of your authentic identity. If you're not a mental concept, or if you're bigger than a mental concept, how will you know who you are? Well, you developed your awareness in the present moment. We talked about that. That warrants repeating. By the way, in the 8 Pillars of Lifetime Sanity, Chapter 2, if you want to know exactly the techniques for breathing and a good map, a foundation of how to step into that peaceful place, download the manual, go to Chapter 2, and that's what it's about. It tells you, it gives you the blueprint for getting into the present moment. So entering into the present moment is what I said before. Um, and I said 60 seconds can transform your life. And here's what I said in session 1, and I stand by it. You get to, you what you do is you stop and you relax. You place your attention or your awareness in experiencing your breath. You don't think about breathing. You just feel it and you sense it. Warm air going in, cool air going out. Your attention is experiencing the out breath. You repeat that, okay, and just follow your normal breathing pattern. Look, you've been doing this your whole life. You've just been doing it mindlessly. And so just by paying attention, you say, Roger, you telling me if I just stop and become aware of my breath, it's going to change my life. You do it for 1 minute, there's a shift in your life. Because what it does is cleans out all of those thoughts and helps you to really settle in. And it brings you to a calming place of peace and a place of insight. Then you can begin to discern who you really are. And the other thing I need to say here is it's ever unfolding. Your identity. People talk about knowing your purpose. The problem with that is, and I'm an advocate, I teach people how to know their purpose. So let me give you that caveat. But the problem is your purpose is not a concept. Well, I know who I am. You're not a concept. Listen, it is ever unfolding. If you're living your life to the fullest, you're going to be learning something new about yourself every day. Or if not every day, at least on a regular basis. Sometimes out of bad things, good things come, a champion arises. Sometimes people go through a tragedy and then they turn around and begin a cause around what they went through to help others, and they got a mission out of their own pain. You have no idea what you're capable of. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you. Maybe you've concluded I'm old, it's too late, I can't do anything. Absolutely not true. You have no idea what could be in store for you. But in the present moment, and you're quiet, that's where things will begin to unfold. You can see clearly. And I'm going to spend some more time talking about that in the future. I've got some other videos out on it. So avail yourself. It's kind of tough for me within the scope of what we're doing to break apart every detail. But again, that is why I did write the book. Okay. So the first thing in terms of answers is present moment awareness of your identity. We talked about things quieting down. Once that happens, then you can begin to see things clear up. That's what's important. The next thing you need to do as you begin to understand who you are, you want to recognize the roots of pride in its variations. Very often, when you're engaging or interacting with other people, you'll find roots of pride. Okay. People can test your mettle. Or if you do something and you fail to get it done and you feel like you're a failure and all hope is lost, and all, listen, you just, you missed an assignment. Because you fail at something doesn't make you a failure, but pride holds on to that. Feel sorry for you, get everybody else to feel sorry for you, garners attention. And so you want to begin to see the roots of pride. So maybe a good question you can put on your notepad is, what are the roots of pride that I have detected from time to time in my life now? Because it's a growing thing. As you're discovering who you are, you'll start seeing the variations of the counterfeit. When you the tendency to put others down, anytime you're going to talk down on someone, even if they deserve it, that's a root of pride. Okay. um, Hatred for others, that's a root of pride, and we're going to talk about some of those other things later. Our country right now, one of the main problems that we got going on is pride, 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 pride. That it's killing us, and it's an inside job. It's really what's going on. Okay, so so you want to recognize the roots and journal. I do this. I make notes of my life. When's the last time you got ticked off? Um, when's the last time you said something you shouldn't have said? When's the last time you took actions that you shouldn't have taken? Chances are there's a root of pride in there somewhere. And once you become really aware of who you are, you could begin to look at those things and root them out. And that becomes very, very important. Recognition of pride, okay? The next thing I have is embracing with wisdom who you are. Once you begin to get an understanding of who you are, what you bring to the table, it brings with it a gratitude, man. There is no need, you don't need anything else. There's nothing else to add. Your life then really becomes a real blessing, okay? Because you really come to an understanding of who you are. Um, Very often we're strangers with the person who lives in us. We so focus on social activity and so focus on relationships, getting in relationships, that we really don't take the time to really get to know ourselves. And so, but when you embrace with wisdom who you are, then you're capable of actually enjoying yourself. You don't need noise all of a sudden, all the time. You don't always have to be going and doing something. You can be still and enjoy that because you're understanding um, with wisdom who you really are. And that becomes important. I have here, and some of these are going to kind of tie together, rejecting the traces of the imposter. Okay. And so when I talk about that, the traces again, because life is always a battle with dealing with people. Sometimes people will pull triggers in your life. People can say things. You can be having a great day, and then somebody says something to you, and it really sets you off. Okay. And then what you'll find is that you'll want to get in an attitude or some other things, but you have to reject the traces of the imposter and then remember who you really are. Remember what your mission is. You should be working on that in your life. You're not here just to work a job and retire and collect Social Security. You're not here just to eat and sleep until one day you don't. Um, there are some things that are written in you internally, and you're supposed to be fulfilling those things. But part of that comes out of your identity. Okay, part of that comes out of your identity. Okay. Next, I have here, and actually, the last thing in this section is thinking, speaking, and acting. Ah, I put the and too soon. Thinking, speaking, acting, and living in alignment with your authentic identity. Friends, once you start to understand who you are, what comes shortly after that is what you must do. And then how you're going to do it. And then the connections to get it done. Life is really a mission. I don't think we're just here for the time being to just survive and try to get out of here. I really believe that there's some things that we're all designed to do. So part of it is understanding who you are. When you look in the mirror, that's not you. You are the one whose eyes are looking back out at you. That the body is going to change. The body was little, the body grew up. I'm not going to say the body got big, that won't sound right. The body changes. Let me just say it that way. Okay? But that's not you. Okay? That's your body, but uh getting to know the one beneath and behind all appearances is really, really important. So the one of the ways you overcome pride again is by thinking, speaking, acting, and living in alignment with your authentic identity. And it's more than a concept. You as you get on the road to understanding who you are, some really awesome and powerful things are going to begin to take place in your life. And that really takes time. Unfortunately, we're not taught how to do that. Unfortunately, people more tell us what to do or get us to do what they want us to do. But it's up to you. I cannot answer your mission in life. I cannot answer your purpose in life. Only you can really answer that. And so you have to get yourself in a position so that you can get that done yourself. And so once that happens, then the pride is dealt with. Um, it's a tragedy because let's say you're trying to be like somebody and you're jealous of them out of pride, and so you're trying to do what they're doing. The tragedy of that is who's going to do what you really could and should be doing. If your focus is on, I'm better than this person at work, I'm number one. There's nothing wrong with being number one. Okay. But if that's your focus, then what if you should be doing something else completely different altogether? The way you're going to know is again, you come back into that present moment. And I think that is the thing that's really, really important. Now, uh, having said that, uh, I'll say this as I conclude the thoughts on this particular lesson. I'll say this that authenticity, the authenticity of your identity, I mean, the real deal, the real, um, your grasp of who you really are. The authenticity of your identity cuts off pride at the very roots. Cuts it off at the very roots. There's no pride does not have room. Friends, what I'm saying to you, if you say I'm going to just humble myself, yeah, but then what are you going to be? There's a reason why you acted out. Once it becomes clear to you who you really are, and as you get on that track and understand that, um, I never thought I would be a public speaker. I was a senior pastor for almost 40 years. I never saw that coming. I'm a writer, an author. There are many things that I'm doing now I didn't see coming. But you know what I've done is I've lived and I've tried to keep an open heart so that, and I've tried to make space to be in a place where I could do the things that I feel right about in my own heart, and it's really helped me to become who I am. So what that does, friends, it cuts off the root of pride. It humility is not necessarily the opposite of pride. True identity is, if I can say that, true your real identity, getting an understanding of who you are. You say, well, yeah, I know who I am. I'm an engineer. I go to work every day. I do this, got a family. You can do all those things and not scratch the surface, okay, on your authentic identity. And so I really think it's important that you get back to that. Let me take a few minutes. It's likely we're going to finish early tonight, but let me bring up on screen the 8 pillars of lifetime sanity. This is the cover of the book. I've taken it's probably got almost 40 years of work in it to really help. It is a it's more of a manual. It's only available online. If you'll go to, I think I'm gonna bring up information on it. Okay, well, let's see. That's the price of it, 19.99. Let me bring up the website. Okay, there it is. And so if you go to the website, go to the store, you can download it immediately. The feedback that I've been getting is that it's answered so many issues. And this book is designed to help you in every way. Listen, it'll help you in your faith. It'll help you in your business. It'll help you in your family. That's what it is designed to do. And so you can download it there. The chapter 2 is especially good because we keep talking about the present moment. We keep talking about the breath. It will walk you through that. Is very, very important um, for you to have that support. Okay. The reason that I am doing all of this is because I have a burden for our world. And I just don't believe that the politicians and the folks are going to be the answer. I believe there's a lot of good people, the news reports, all the horrific, horrible things. I believe there are good people like you and I who are struggling to make it, who want to step up and do well. I want to invest in you and your leadership ability. The you are a leader. If anybody looks to you, if you got any relationships, you got children, you're a leader, you know. And so I really want to see you succeed because then we succeed. I did not see any questions tonight. I will continue to monitor. Let me know if you guys would like to have a panel discussion where you can write in and we'll address that. You just have to say, hey, panel discussion, let me know. But I hope that you are enjoying this and you're getting something out of it. On next week, we're going to talk about craving. You don't want to miss that. We don't hear that word used often. We may talk more about greed, but craving is very, very important. And so we'll get into that on next week. I think my opening statement, pride is the impostor that pervades your authentic identity and derails your whole life. I do believe you get some understanding on why I say now. It's not a matter, I'm going to try to be more humble. You need to know who you are. Friends, I hope you have a great week and a good night. And we look forward to seeing you again on next week. And I'm available. You can reach out, visit the website. I'm here for you to help you, whatever you need. Have a great night. And I thank you for tuning in. Take care.